Hello, how are you, and welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you being here and taking some time out of your day to hang out with me and react to some top MLM fails. Here on my channel, I like creating content to talk about the shady, predatory, and manipulative tactics of MLMs, so if you are interested in seeing any more videos like this one, please click the playlist above, or please consider subscribing to my channel. I still never really mastered which side to point to. I'm sure it's not that hard, so for now, I'm just not even gonna try pointing. It'll be linked up there somewhere. Side note, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has recently subscribed. My goal was to hit 1,000 subscribers before I go back to school, before summer ends for me, and for me that is around August 24th. If I stay consistent and upload at least one video, but ideally 2 videos per week, I really think that I can achieve that goal. So just once again, thank you for being here, and thank you if you are subscribed.
This expresses how loudly I love you.
In today's video, I want to share some top MLM fails that I've found while lurking on Instagram. Disclaimer, all of these clips that I'm going to show you were publicly posted with the intention of attracting and alluring people to someone's MLM. While we are within our right to analyze and criticize the marketing strategies that we see, I want to emphasize that I have nothing personal against any of these individuals, and I don't condone any type of bullying or harassment. This video is solely for entertainment and educational purposes only. If you have an MLM fail that you want to share with me or that you want to see featured on my channel, please send it to me. You can look in the description box to see how to get in contact. You can email me or you can send it as a direct message on Instagram. Instagram is the only social media platform I have other than YouTube. I deleted my Facebook. I tried TikTok for a while, but it literally made me depressed after like 2 weeks. Anyway, let's stay on track here. You guys don't want to hear about my mental issues, or do you? Just kidding. Today we're talking about top MLM fails, so that is what we are going to do. Let's go ahead and let's get started. By the way, I know that a lot of people like to play videos and not necessarily watch them, but listen to them while they're doing chores or while they're commuting or doing other things. I am one of those people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and read the captions as needed so that even if you're not looking at the screen, you'll be able to know what's happening. This one so far says, "My husband didn't want me to start this side gig, so I did it behind his back and he doesn't know I have been out-earning him this whole time. He lost his job in March and he hasn't had to find a new job. I am guessing he is glad I have this side gig now that he can do the things he didn't have time for before." And then of course at the top in red it says, "If you want in too, just send me a message and I can show you how." Sadly, this type of marketing content is all too common to see, but in my opinion, it is just such a major fail. Why should one have to put their husband or their marriage in the spotlight just so they can sell somebody the opportunity of an MLM? Your marriage, your relationship, your union, that should be one of the most sacred and personal things in your life. It's one thing for MLM people to want to talk about their own personal struggles and their own personal shortcomings. However, it's completely different when you are talking about somebody else's problems, somebody else's issues, especially when it's somebody as close to you as your husband. You shouldn't be going out there and putting your husband's struggles on blast just as a way to convince people that this is an incredible opportunity. Here's what I'm hoping, that her and her husband actually talked before she made this reel and he was in on it and he was okay with it. But there's also another possibility. Just like she started this side gig without telling her husband, it's also possible that she created this reel and posted it without telling him as well. If so, I think that's really messed up and it's a major fail because she's publicizing the fact that he lost his job. Don't underestimate the emotional, physical, and mental toll that that can have on a person. And then to have that publicized and out there for everybody to see and judge kind of sucks. Undoubtedly, we all want our spouse to be supportive and on board with whatever job or career choices that we make, because if not, it is guaranteed to just cause you strife later on down the line. MLMs anticipate that this will happen, that people will say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't join, my spouse isn't on board with it. And then to see MLM reps posting things like this, normalizing the idea that it's okay to do something even though you and your spouse may not be exactly on the same page about it. I'm not saying let your spouse control all your life decisions, but I am saying communication is key. And if your partner has communicated to you that they're worried about you and they're worried about you getting involved in something like this, you should really listen. Overall, just major fail. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Before jumping into this top fail, I just want to say thank you to the subscriber who shared these with me. She has been here with me on my channel since the beginning. I appreciate her sticking around and sharing all of this scammy and MLM type things that she sees. Thank you, you are so appreciated. Now let's get into these screenshots that she shared with me from a company called Oriflame. Quick backstory on Oriflame. They are a Swedish multinational, multi-level marketing company that specializes in selling personal care products and beauty products. They've been around since 1967 and they operate in more than 60 countries, and allegedly they have over 3 million Oriflame brand partners marketing their products. And as we are about to see, sometimes the taglines and the tactics that are used to sell these products are just unethical and wrong. Who has had COVID and had problems with their hair since? Check out the comments. So right off the bat, I think it's really funny and interesting that they're trying to lure people in to read the comments by putting this clickbaity question as their status update. If you go to the comments, this is what you see. Review. After I had COVID, my hair started to fall out on my pillow, in my brush, as I run my fingers through it. Strands would just keep falling. It became so thin, I wanted to cry. I was then told this is a long-term effect of COVID and many people are suffering from it. I found it really quite emotional after a long time of growing my hair. It was just falling out. I tried many things that didn't work. I then started using this Hair X system, shampoo and conditioner and follicle amplifier to treat the hair follicle, as that's where it was falling from. Since using it, my hair is looking and feeling thicker and hardly anything is falling anymore. I am really impressed with this range. Will continue to use it. And in their own comments, they also went to post a picture of what these products look like. So there's a few things to unpack there, but first, let's talk about COVID. I may be tempting fate by saying this, but to my knowledge, I never contracted COVID-19. So I don't have firsthand knowledge of the symptoms or the long-lasting side effects that people get from COVID. Unfortunately, some of my closest relatives and friends did contract COVID, and I could see clear as day how things like brain fog and fatigue were so real and really impacted them. It was really scary to see, and I know me sitting here saying, well, I never got COVID, is coming from a place of immense privilege, and I recognize that because many others were not so lucky. All of that is to say that COVID is a serious topic, and I don't take it lightly. Personally, I hadn't known that hair loss was a symptom of COVID, so I just decided to do some fact checking because we know how MLM distributors love making up lies. In this case, this was not a lie. I found that while hair loss is an alarming side effect of COVID, it is short-lived in most circumstances and not long-term like she would have us believe. I'll link the article below so that you can check it out and look at the specifics if you want to. But to summarize, when people experience a stressful event such as contracting COVID-19, our bodies shift from growing hair to this phase where it's just letting the hair rest or shedding. According to this article, the majority of cases related to COVID hair loss actually resolve themselves between about 3 to 6 months, at which point your hair will start to return to normal. This article states, while hair may not temporarily grow, the hair follicles are still present and hair will eventually regrow. But even after shedding has stopped, it is true that patients might not see their hair be as thick as it was before. And in severe cases, which is less than 10%, patients can suffer from chronic hair shedding. It's called chronic telogen effluvium, and it can be a symptom for long COVID patients. So on that front, she is right. Hair loss is definitely a side effect and something that can be attributed to COVID-19. However, Instead of going immediately to grab products that tout these amazing and incredible results, these doctors recommend that the best thing patients can do is give themselves some time and some patience. This doctor stated, medications can be tricky. A lot of times we know these patients are going to recover spontaneously and on their own. Once you start a medication for hair growth, it's hard to know when to stop the medication. He does go on to say that it makes sense for people who are experiencing the long COVID symptoms to think about medication, but what that says to me is most people won't need to buy these types of products. I will give Oriflame one compliment, that these products don't seem so grossly overpriced, but still, you should not and cannot say things to make people think that this is the magic hair solution that is going to solve all of their problems. Last thing, before we move on, if you have thinner hair and if you are looking for that thick lushness, I recommend using horse shampoo. Yes, mane and tail horse shampoo. I hope that doesn't sound crazy or weird, but I kid you not, that stuff works. Let's move on to the next fail. Okay, so this one says, calling my mentor to tell her I'm resigning, thinking she's never going to speak to me again. And then it cuts to a shot of this girl and her mentor, and it says, resigns with you. So I thought that this was a fail and that this was something I wanted to share with you because it sheds light on that precarious relationship that the upline and the downline have, which here is being referred to as mentor. It's a pretty widely accepted phenomenon. It's a pretty widely accepted phenomenon. It's pretty widely accepted that when you are in the MLM community and you choose to leave your MLM, you are probably going to lose a lot of those friendships and relationships that you've created along the way, which is the sad thing because most people join MLMs because they love that sense of community, and what happens is they find out that that was all fake. The fact that people would be cut out so easily actually makes sense when you think about it, because now that that person is out of the MLM, you are not going to be able to make any money off of them. So why bother keeping up the act and pretending to be friends? Getting specifically into this video, however, I found it funny that these MLMers themselves gave credibility to this phenomenon. She herself wrote that she was calling her mentor to tell her I'm resigning, thinking she's never going to speak to me again. Now that's funny. Why would she think that? Why would she think that her mentor would never speak to her again? Is it because that's exactly what happens in MLMs? People leave the group, they get blocked and excommunicated from the tight-knit community that still remains, that once claimed to love her like a sister? Yeah, that's exactly why. Making this a super fail, these two resigned together to go from one MLM to another. I can't remember specifically, but I believe they were leaving an MLM to go to Q Sciences. Not 100% sure though, don't quote me on that. Now let's move on to our next fail. So this one is set to the song Rumor by Adele. And it says, rumor is you're an attorney and working with Monat. And then she goes on to say the rumors are true. I know that was super short, but I wanted to share it anyway because for people in MLMs, this is a total win. Having an established and educated person like an attorney join an MLM does so much to lend credibility to the MLM, and it legitimizes it, in my opinion. It will encourage people from friends, clients, colleagues, family, neighbors to let their guard down and let themselves get interested in the company and the opportunity. If you think about it, a lawyer has 7 years of extra education under their belt, 4 for undergrad and then 3 for law school. Most of the time they're intelligent, they're successful, they're well-read, they're very knowledgeable. So if you have somebody like that in your life, and you see them supporting an MLM, and you have a high opinion of them to begin with, there's a higher probability that you're going to start listening to what they say and actually start to believe them. Well, hey, if she's an attorney and she's so smart and she thinks it's a good idea, well, it must be. In my opinion, it's just a very strong selling point that might make this woman get more recruits than, let's say, someone with a smaller network of people, perhaps even having less education or less social standing. The saddest thing is, it may have even been a fellow lawyer who recruited her. May have been, but I really have no idea, just speculating here. The reason that I think that is because a lot of MLMers tend to recruit people that they know from their real jobs in real life. So for example, teachers might recruit other teachers, nurses will recruit other nurses, etc., etc. If you can think of other examples, let me know in the comments below. And if this is true and she was really recruited by another lawyer, well, I think that's very sad. But if she were given the same pitch by another lawyer, whom she respected and trusted and admired, maybe even her mentor, it is understandable to see how she could have gotten duped. Now let's move on to our final fail for this video. This says, have you ever heard a crackhead say that they don't have enough money for crack? No, they still go out and get it. Do the same with your dreams. Wow, you guys can see that I saved the worst for last, right? This one really made me cringe. First of all, and most importantly, we should all be taking issue with the fact that she said what she said so flippantly. That phrase is not funny, it's not cute, it's not goofy, and it's not cool to throw around when you want to describe somebody who's acting a little funky. The word itself is a racist callback to the crack epidemic in the 1980s and the war on drugs that came along with it. Here is a quick excerpt from an article I want to share with you that I think does an excellent job summarizing. These types of jokes have real-world consequences. Understand that it is inappropriate to make jokes about people who use drugs. Those jokes actually lead to the policies that target, harm, and kill our loved ones. And this person is referring to specifically Black people and people of color who were the main targets of the war on drugs. These jokes add to their dehumanization and make it okay for policymakers to incarcerate folks and take away resources. The word crackhead was formally coined in June 1986, a few months before Congress passed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, enacting harsher punishments for crack-related offenses. And, to be clear, blackness was conflated with crackheads from the term's inception. The originating source, a June 1986 Time article titled "Crack, a Cheap and Deadly Cocaine, is a Fast-Spreading Menace," stated that more than half the nation's so-called crackheads are Black. The words we use matter. So we need to be more responsible with the words that we use, especially when you are putting yourself out there on the internet, creating content, creating marketing material that's going to be viewed by people from all walks of life. Some are going to see this and scoff, but others are impressionable. They're going to think this is funny. They're going to think that it's cool. They're going to want to say, yeah, why not? Let me go sign up. Aside from the history of the term, here's another reason why I think this video is a fail. In her analogy, the person using drugs, not going to say the term that she said again, I'm over it, destroys their life and relationships to put all of their money into their addiction, right? So if this is a metaphor for joining an MLM, then it shows how people destroy their lives and relationships by putting all of their time and energy and effort into the MLM. It's actually a pretty fitting metaphor in my opinion, but not very sophisticated. Well, friends, thank you so much for hanging around until the end of the video. I wish there was some sort of secret reward that I could give you for sticking around and making it till the end. Just know that I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the fact that you took some time to hang out with me today and listen to what I have to say. And remember, if you see anything that you would like me to react to or that you want to see featured on my channel, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can email me. My email is below, or you can DM me on Instagram and we can chat on there. So please go have a good day, have a good afternoon, drink some water, get something to eat, relax, put on sunblock. Just take care of yourself and I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye. Last thing before we, oh my gosh, I can't talk. Last thing before we move on. Last thing before we, why can't I say that? Last thing before we move on.